There's a question that I would like to pose to each side, I should say, or a faction on each side in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. This is essentially directed to what I would call the hardliners on both sides, not to the mainstream. First of all, to the hardliners on the Palestinian side and those who support them worldwide. And by hardliners, I mean those who question Israel's legitimacy, Israel's right even to exist. This is directed only towards them. On what basis do you call for the destruction of Israel, its elimination from the map of the Middle East? Legal, historical, logical, moral. On what basis do you justify the destruction of Israel? To the Israeli hardliners and their supporters worldwide, and for those I would say they constitute the people who believe that Israel should expand into the West Bank and should extend its borders, its present borders. On what basis do you justify that? On what basis do you justify building settlements in the West Bank? Legal, moral, historical, psychological, logical. What's your justification for that? I'd really like to hear those arguments, because I've never actually heard a coherent or convincing argument from either side justifying either position, the destruction ultimately of Israel or the destruction ultimately of Palestine. Now, the reason why this question is so central is the fact that unless we're in a conflict situation in which one side has an overwhelming advantage over the other, such as 1945 in Europe, where the Allies were able to simply demand that Nazi Germany throw itself at their mercy, you have to have something that you offer the other side that you're trying to make peace with. If the other side sees that your aim is ultimately their complete and total destruction, they have no incentive not to fight to the death and to aim at your total destruction. If my opponent says, I'm not in this conflict to improve my bargaining position with the aim of an ultimate peace treaty here, I'm in this to finish you off, and nothing less than that will satisfy me. When you do that, you pretty much guarantee that the conflict will go on forever. Either that, or the conflict will only be solved by one side obliterating the other, and in Palestine, Israel, that's just not going to happen. And another issue with that kind of conflict is that festers and goes on for so long, it drags in the rest of the world. So I think that the idea of overwhelming, of one side overwhelming the other or eliminating the other, is not only morally questionable, it's completely and brutishly irrational. It's not going to happen, and how can you expect the other side to deal with you, to negotiate with you, if they know that your ultimate aim is to obliterate them? Why should a Palestinian negotiate with Israel if they believe that Israel's ultimate aim is to eliminate them as a people, is to eliminate them from what they believe is their homeland? By the same token, why should an Israeli negotiate with the Palestinians if they believe that the ultimate aim of the Palestinians is to, as they say, drive them into the sea? It just isn't sane to expect that sort of thing. Both sides have to make up their minds. What do they want out of all of this? Where are they going with this conflict? What are the aims? And where are you willing to go to achieve those aims? I look forward to the answers. Thank you.